Sejahtera untuk anda yang sedang mendengarkan kami dalam Temu Bual Radio. Untuk pagi ini kita bawakan seorang tetamu di talian yang akan bercerita tentang keadaan mentaliti sewaktu tinggal di rumah dan terus kekal produktif sementara anda melakukan kerja di rumah semasa krisis pandemik COVID-19. On the call, on the line, we have the CEO from O-Site, Hetal Doshi. Hi, Hetal. How are you?
Hi, Amar. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm really good, thank you, considering the circumstance. How are you?
Quite good. Thank you.
Good.
You are the spokesperson and also the CEO of the O-Site, and we're going to be talking about how to stay mentally fit at home and stay productive while working from home during a pandemic crisis, in this case, COVID-19. But please, could you first please introduce yourself and share with us a little bit about O-Site, Sinan Berhad?
Sure. So I work as an organizational psychologist, and our main job is to help organizations understand that the game that they're having to play by choice or by force, and use psychological strategies to succeed. So, Amar, for example, in the military, they would say that a war is won not by tactics, but it's a psychological strategy.
True.
Same thing like with sports as well. Although you can have all the skill in the world, a sportsman constantly outbeats himself because of psychological tactics.
True.
And so in the business environment, unfortunately, we tend to have business strategies, but not psychological strategies to win. So our job is really to make predictions about how human beings behave in these kind of scenarios and design psychological strategies to stay on course for this big win.
And Hetal, we are currently under the movement control order, whereby most, if not all, except the ones in essential businesses, are required to work from home. Working from home has its own sets of challenges, especially without an ideal working space as we are used to be, and other factors such as the need to attend to the family while working, for parents especially. In your professional opinion, how long will it take to adjust to this new working environment with the team and organization for both employees and employers?
Right. So the MCO, I think, to start with, the entire COVID-19 scenario is considered a black swan event. Black swan is a term popularized by this guy called Nassim Taleb. And in this event, it basically, it's an experience where people are having that is unprecedented. Means it's something that you've never, ever experienced in your lifetime. And it also has an extreme impact. So, at the very least, this is considered a psychologically traumatic event for all of us because it causes physical, emotional, spiritual, psychological harm. So this is a traumatic event for all of us. And the interesting thing about human beings and trauma is that in a study that was conducted where they followed traumatized patients over a period of 1 year, it was found out that human beings are really extremely resilient. We had maybe in that study, we had about 25% who were devastated. So you can imagine in Malaysia right now, at this point in time, you probably have 25% who are quite devastated.
True.
5% who are feeling like it's complete downhill. 20% who are probably already recovering. And 50% who are actually feeling like they can kind of find a way to navigate and maybe potentially succeed as well. So how we use this information is that, considering we have maybe about 25% devastated, 5% downhill, so 30% of us are not like the 70% who are on our way to being resilient or recovering. So I think the most important thing over here is for employees to understand that we are dealing with a mix of employees. So employers are important. We are dealing with a mixed bag of emotions.
Okay.
So we have to kind of, be very vigilant for the 25-30% who are not doing as well. And for the rest of us, for some of us, actually, there could be some under-anticipated joys of this entire crisis as well. So really dealing with a mixed bag. And overall, according to a lot of theorists and research, at the very least, it would take us about 3 months, up to about 6 months to move up this productive curve. Depending on how prepared and well-oiled the team was in the past as well. So I think teams that have been, had very good psychological and team capital in the past probably going to do really well. But more importantly, I think, Amar, it's quite a unique space because this is a wish come true for a lot of us. A lot of us have been wanting to work from home for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So this could be the unanticipated joy of this whole crisis as well.
Okay, but as a psychologist, is there any way that I can eliminate stress to working at home? I mean, we don't want to be disturbed by our partners, by our kids. We want to have some, some contained areas for us to work, to do things that which is gonna make us to go through the whole crisis with good money in at the end of the days and stuff. Is there any ways that we can prevent all those, eliminate all of the stress?
No, there's absolutely no way that you can eliminate all of the stress. Stress is
Always there.
By default, a part and parcel of life.
Okay.
But I think this is like playing a scenario or a game in your mind where this is the situation that you're in. How are you going to win the war on this? And I would say, I would say that it's going to require people learning how to say no and be extra disciplined. And what I mean by that is that I think there are going to be a lot of the major problem. I think 90% of the problem that we're going to have when we're working from home is the noise. And so I think we need to be very disciplined on what the noise is.
Okay.
So let me just share with you. I think there are two things over here. Forget about all the stress and forget about all the things that are coming in your way. From a psychological perspective, I think we need to really activate the main part of the brain, which is called, I hate to be theoretical here, but there is a part of the brain called reticular activating system. But we need to activate that. And the way to activate it is to ask ourselves one question only. And that question is, what really matters here? And then we have to eliminate everything else.
Okay.
So 90% of our job is really elimination and getting the whole house super disciplined. And the word that we use is called psychological hygiene. So really keeping things as clean as possible. So yeah, no, I think this will have to be something that is very personalized, and we need to sit down and figure out how best you're going to enjoy this scenario.
But then again, Hetal, what to do when life is seriously stressing you out? What can I do?
Yeah.
The devil said you are not strong enough.
Yeah, that's a really, really hard experience that I know, at least. So having spoken to a lot of my colleagues in this fraternity, the number of calls that we're getting from people who are traumatized, stressed, anxious is extremely high. Number one, your fear amygdalas are being hyper-activated.
Okay.
I would say that the most important thing for you to do right now is to really sit down and do some breathing. Before you even start doing any work, I think you just need to sit down and get your support mechanism breathing together with you. Why we say breathing and why we say meditating is really important is because that is the only proven technique up until today that helps you to move out from fear and into wisdom and opportunity. That is the only technique so far.
Okay.
Of course, you can use many other things that increase your breathing, like exercise and so on and so forth. But, honestly, I think if you're going through a time that is tougher than normal and you feel like, as you say, the devil is in the mix now, do call up hotlines that are available. And I really like to speak a little bit about that shortly if there's time as well. Do call out available hotlines and get professional support because your families may not be the right level of support for you right now.
Okay. And then again, how do employers and employees alike stay productive during the work from home period?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Focus on what really matters. Eliminate everything else. This is not about Mary Kondoing. This is about destroying. And I think Jack Ma kind of said it quite well. With regards to what's going on in the workplace, I think now everybody is kind of all over the place. And Jack Ma said something quite well. If there are 9 rabbits on the ground, if you want to catch one, just focus on one. So I think with organizations, just go a bit slow, but go purposefully. Focus on one thing at a time and move in accordance to that. Don't try to do more than that.
Okay. I mean, if it is you are stressed out and you are on steam, leave the work for a while, go mingle with your kid, have fun for a while, and then go back to your work, isn't it?
Absolutely. I've told a lot of my colleagues actually, 80% of your time now just chill. We're just going to take 1 hour a day to like really focus on things that matters. Everything else, just make your house hygienic, get your children and parents in order, and that's about it. Yeah.
And then working from home, can you please share with our listeners what kind of communication approach will be the most effective during this period, this crisis, COVID-19? Everybody's worried.
Yeah. So from a communication standpoint, when we work with our clients now, I think it's about time that we learn from what happened with the MCO. For example, when the government said stay at home, what happened was everybody did the exact opposite. So with regards to communication, I think we have to understand, what do people hear first? So we have to work backwards and ask, number one, what do you want people to hear? How do you want them to feel? And what do you want them to do? From a communication standpoint, we have to be very strategic about the outcome. When we are clear about what you want people to do, then you need to communicate in a way that is very tightly controlled. You're specifically telling them what they can do and what they can't do. You have to contain it so that there's not too much noise outside. Like as for now, you can hear that there's noise all over the place, so you want to contain it. You also want to keep the message quite consistent. So for example, some employers, they're telling their teams to work from home potentially as much as possible. But their immediate bosses are saying, come to work. So you want to really minimize incongruence. You want to really maximize the consistency of this behavior. And most of all, you want to be quite compassionately unique in this circumstance. You really want to stand out above all other organizations by being very unique in your messaging from a compassionate point of view. Like this time around, I think I heard something from the CEO of Marriott Hotels. He was extremely compassionate, having come out from his own treatment from cancer. And in his communication, he was seen to be almost tearing because of possibilities of having to let go staff. And this is not something very normal, where you see somebody who's just coming out of their own tragedy and having to look after people in their tragedy, and also doing it with, a lot of higher levels of compassion than normal. So yeah, I would say in summary, tightly controlled, contained, consistent, and compassionately unique messages.
Okay. Atul, is it really important for us to follow a routine while keeping mentally fit in order to achieve optimum result? And what are some of the ways that you can share with our listeners to follow?
I think there's a lot of research that talks about people having their own ways of being. In my personal opinion, yes, absolutely. Animals have a routine. Human beings have a routine. Some of us, our routines are a little bit disorganized, but it's still a routine. So definitely have a routine. Some of the things that you would want to keep as part of your routine are things like absolutely starting the day with breathing and some meditation, clearing your mind before you start talking to anyone else, putting into place fun exercises, healthy diet, happy hours. I think some things that I've heard about what people are doing these days to stay at an optimum capacity is unique experiences, like, condominiums coming out at 8:30 and screaming and shouting and enjoying that experience as a collective is very important, very valuable to have as part of your routine. So unique experiences could also be like, having a party with your friends on Zoom, or, calling, video conferencing with all of your family members, so on and so forth. I think a very important routine that I've not heard of enough is rules of engagement in the house. We really need to have some of these things there, yeah.
Okay, for those of you that have just listened to us in our Mobile Radio, we have the CEO of OSIDE, Hatul Doshi, and we are talking about how to stay mentally fit at home and stay productive while working from home during a pandemic crisis, in this case COVID-19. And Hatul, mental health during pandemic crisis, what are the odds of mental breakdown to happen during this period, and how can an employee like me to reduce the likeliness of this? Maybe some sudden change of working environment and the movement control order, which is restrict my movement outside of home. I cannot go for a meeting and so on.
Yeah, so our normal state of mental health related issues is already at 30%. This is absolutely going to go up higher. But without having a proper study on this, it is hard to say how much. This is where I think the government really needs to facilitate this, because from conversations that I've had in our fraternity, this is about 20 interviews done already. Number one, there is agreement that mental health related issues have already increased exponentially, number one. Number two, we as a nation lack the infrastructure to support the rise in mental health related issues, even before we had the rise. And number three, this needs to be funded and supported as strongly as physical health. So as much as we are talking about physical health and looking after it and putting budgets into place, we need to do the same for mental health related issues, because there is popular belief that there are two viruses at hand over here. One is the coronavirus and the other one is the fear virus. To me, this is really an acid test of the government and corporations to see that after all these years, Amar, we've been talking so much about mental health. Everybody has made it such a big hype. Enough of studies done around it. So given the fact that we have talked so much, will we now walk the talk when it is a priority and when it is extremely crucial? So I'm really looking forward to seeing somebody coming up, really taking the lead and facilitating this between both from a nationwide perspective as well as across corporations.
And many business owners, organizations and leaders are cracking their brains to ensure that not only the business stay relevant, but also to ensure they have enough cash flow to sustain the operation side. They have to pay the employee without any income that coming in. In the event of a financial crisis where employers fail to fulfill some financial requirement, such as paying salaries on time, what is the best way of communication to handle such a situation? The employee maybe not understanding and maybe don't have any understanding about this situation as a boss and so on.
Yeah, I think, it is your primary duty as a business owner to pay your employees on time. And that is your primary duty. That is something that you have to be doing. It is a non-negotiable. In the event that you cannot, the best way to communicate it is beforehand. If you can already begin to predict that you will not be able to make a payment to them, you have to inform them before that with a rationale about why this is the case. Why have you not been able to sustain even for a month or two, as well as an apology, together with the integrity of keeping a promise, because everybody is going to need money to be able to sustain themselves. I think the most important thing to think about over here for business leaders is that this is a difficult time, if not even more a difficult time for you. But the fear that you're going through and the choices and decisions that you make from the fear that you're going through will determine your true character. And it is in times of this where people will remember you the most and the memories will be the most intense. So please be careful in making sure that you give a lead time for people to be able to adjust with possibilities that they may not be getting the money that they should be getting at the period of time that is duly promised to them.
So there should be a very good communication between the bosses and also the staff, and also for the staff to understand what is happening right now, for the company not to be able to fulfill a lot of things that they used to have before, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely. But I think also you don't have to communicate all the time. Just be purposeful and outcome oriented with the communication, because there honestly is way too much of information. You just want to, as mentioned, you want to keep it controlled, you want to keep it outcome based, and you want to keep this consistently going as well.
Okay. Thank you again, Hetal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amar, for having me.
Thank you. Stay safe at home.
You too, and enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, that's the CEO of Oside, Hetal Doshi, dengan topiknya pagi ini cukup menarik. Bagaimana untuk kita kekal secara cergas, secara mental dan juga kita produktif walaupun kita melakukan pekerjaan dari rumah sementara kita ada krisis COVID-19 ini. Hetal Doshi yang merupakan CEO Oside dan merupakan juga co-founder sebuah syarikat penyiaran bisnes dalam talian, Next Up Asia. Okey, dan kita akan kembali selepas ini dengan temu bal yang seterusnya. Pastikan anda terus mendengarkan kami di Bernama Radio, stesen berita bisnes anda.
tersebar luas berita pantas di media sosial. Ikut kami di www.twitter.com